The Mat podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 7 of Better Hit The Mat podcast, allegedly a fitness podcast. Now, if you're tuning in for the first time, the BTTR stands for Boz, Tom, Travis, and Ryan. We're missing our R. Look.
Not here. Not here.
It's not there. No, that's the mainframe. So, yeah, Ryan is in a car somewhere, I believe. And the idea was he was going to dial in from his mobile phone and join us, but he's in America. Sorry, your internet from America just always seems to be shocking to us Brits because we're such a small island, and we just seem to have more options. But yeah, we're guessing he's in a flat spot because we can't raise him on anything. We're hoping he's not been gone to one of those dodgy gas stations that you see in the horror movies. And
it's the time of the year for that. The last thing you want to do is take a piss at a gas station on the side of the road somewhere in the middle of the woods. You just don't want to do that in October.
Don't go that way. Speak of the devil, no less.
Hey, there he is. Fuck nowhere.
Everyone's in the wrong place. Okay, let me just sort this out so my brain is happy. Dude, you're not doing the driving, are you?
Yeah, absolutely. This is safe. I'm hands-free.
We were saying we should have all just gone, hey, let's just all do the same and everyone jump in their cars. And I was going to do mine from a motorcycle, but
there you go.
Probably not the safest thing to do.
I'm going to do mine from a Razor scooter.
So we did start without you. You are live. This is being recorded. But
I'm good.
We love you.
We hadn't got any further than explaining why you weren't here. So great timing. Thank you.
We had suspicions that maybe you got raped and murdered at a gas station bathroom. Like in every horror movie. That was one.
Right outside of Moline, the shittiest place on earth, apparently, when it comes to 4G connection.
Dude, what if we have fans in Moline? You just trash their town.
I hope I can inspire them to get better internet connection.
You just cut a heel promo on Moline.
Hey. It is what it is.
Can I just say how right off the bat how super flattered I am that Ryan is wearing a Boz cap. I'm humbled, and that's so nice. Thank you.
I'm pumping gas today before we're heading home, and I look over and I see my Brooklyn Dodgers hat, and I said, Boz is going to make a joke that this hat is about him. I fucking knew it. I should have messaged it to Travis and Thomas.
You should have done a sweepstake on the time code at which I said it. There you
go. Set the over up.
Last week again, big show. People loving Scott. Amazingly, we didn't get eggs and bricks thrown at our heads for doing 2 hours. And I've done it again, guys. I'm sorry, Ryan. You can't join us, I'm sure, but not going to have alcoholic beverage. But
Ryan, grab a sippy cup.
Cheers. Cheers, boys.
Smart water. Good choice.
Yeah.
I hear it has electrolytes.
What's the chance that's really smart water?
Oh, yeah.
Depends on who's
generally not too much kickback from a 2-hour show, which is nice. So as usual, we're going to start with the feedback section. We had a bit of an upsetting video sent through, which we're going to play now. I believe the communication broke down a little bit between us and Tina, and we just have to say sorry, Tina. We should have told you what the outcome was. We didn't realize you'd be sitting there waiting. So. Hello, everybody. Welcome to. Yeah. So we're episode 6. We're still here, and I'm joined as ever by Tom over there, Travis down there, and Ryan over there. Hi, guys.
What's up, man?
Hey.
Everyone had a good week?
Coming off a big episode, guys. This is a big week for us.
Yes, great week.
That was a lot of fun.
You may have noticed Travis is still here after we ceremoniously fired him. Unfortunately, there's a few reasons for that.
he's a bit more devious than we gave him credit for. How he got my naked yoga pictures, I don't know, but that's me on the fence anyway.
He had physically threatened Tina. Tina is a nice young lady, and he had somebody set out to take her out. He was supposed to kneecap her, but one of our great fans interjected, stopped the kneecapping. So Travis, well done, but you didn't finish.
Not least, he actually had a lawyer draft up a contract and sent it to us that he is by law allowed to be part of this podcast, or we have to completely cancel it. So I guess I'm just gonna put up with him for what do we got? Maybe 4 more episodes before we're done.
At least 3.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have anything else to do with this Sunday afternoon, so I gotta stay here. So it is what it is.
Sorry about that, Tina. I mean, obviously, we should have done better and let you know what was going on. And it's kind of an awkward position because that's honestly Travis's job to reach out to the community more often than not. And it would have been super awkward for the guy that you were going to replace to find out from him that it all kind of fell apart because of him. So just like everything else, we're going to blame Travis for this one.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Travis, you're fired again.
But Tina, we can still be friends. But Tina, we can still be friends.
Good.
Smart
I love
choice.
that video. Thank you so much. I love the bit about the ring light, especially. Thank you. So we got some feedback again. So as usual, we're going to read you a bit. And as usual, we've taken the most tricky surname and we've given it to Travis. So
Totally intentional.
All right.
who is
This first one is Stephen Caveney. Stephen Caveney.
Is it
Yes,
Caveni,
it is.
maybe?
Nope.
No? Are you sure?
My friends, I know this guy. This guy is in my class every day. I mispronounce his name because he won a necklace from me, and I pronounced it Cavini before.
It would be my
He
guess,
sent
too.
me a
That's where I
message.
would have went with it.
He sent me a message, and we talk quite a bit. Stephen Caveney. Okay.
It's weird that he doesn't even know how to pronounce his last name.
So
Yeah,
Ryan,
strange, really strange.
Ryan, you can blow that straight out your ass because you're shaking your head like a mad catcher. We're shaking that one off. No way. So my good friend Stephen Caveney.
He is awesome, Stephen, and he is one of our most metal practitioners. He will always he goes to the effort of deciding which metal t-shirt he's going to wear if he's going to attend your workout. That is a level of attention that I really appreciate. So fair play.
And not only that, I mean, he's had an amazing progress since he's started. So good on him for sticking through all of his adversities that he has as well. So Stephen Caveney, can you say that, Ryan?
All right. Back.
Stephen Cavini.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, he said, just finished watching. Again, don't know whether to laugh or to cry between the humorous banter between the 4 of you. Scott's section was honest and heartfelt. What an inspirational character. Tom's tummy time. I nearly had a heart attack. That was the funniest one yet. You should know, Essie, you should show a health warning before you read these out. Keep it up. You're an amazing and inspirational as well as every guest. Can't wait for the next episode. Bang.
Steve.
Steven,
What can you say?
Good stuff.
Fantastic.
That was awesome.
And yeah, absolutely. And he really does. He shows up so frequently in everybody's class, and not just in the classes, but he's really local in all the communities as well. So he's a hell of a guy. I've got one here from Joyce Colker. Says here, hey guys, I want to share with you about your impact. I am in my 2nd round of bed to chair, and I'm getting stronger every day. I listen to people in crisis all day on the phone. By the end of the day, I don't want to hear shit from anyone. I just want to hit the mat and decompress. You have all become my favorite way to decompress as I psych up for my workout. The episode when Boz talked about the 18-month mark and Scott spoke of the consistency, I felt like my buddies were telling me that my head is in the game and I am on track. I appreciate you guys and look forward to each video. You guys are one of the only YouTube subscription alerts I respond to. Keep doing this, please. You're helping a sister out in more ways than you know. Also, Travis, it's pronounced Cavini. Weird.
Time traveler.
It's hella
Psychic
kitties.
as well.
Wow. I guess I was wrong. I guess I and Steven were both wrong.
Did you say telekinesis?
I watched Carrie last night. That was the first thing that was on my brain. And then I thought Tenacious D, and I was going to sing "It's Telekinesis, Kyle." But then after I said it, I was like,
"Whoa, look at that!"
Oh boy!
How are you doing that?
It's real.
That's amazing.
Love it.
Fantastic. Have you got one, Tom?
I do. We got one from Chris Sam. So Chris Sam says, very nearly fell out of the challenge today, but after watching the BTTR Better Hit the Mat podcast, I got my ass up and did energy. Still in it, still going, will compete. So little background about Chris. What he's referring to is a 100-day challenge. I think this is his second or third consecutive challenge. And he went from a point of, very rarely working out a couple times a week, jumping right into challenges and doing 100 days at a time. Chris is known to do multiple workouts every single day too. So Chris, I'm glad we had the impact. We all have those days too. I think all of us can relate to that. There's days we wake up and it's not the day we want to get it done, but those are the days that count. So Chris, thank you so much, and keep crushing. I think for the challenge, we're right around day 75 right now. We got 25 more days before we're finished, I think.
Yeah, we're heading back down. I think I posted today at 76 or
76. Okay, so. Cool. Yeah, so we are well on the home stretch. So Chris, thanks a lot, man. We appreciate it. We all, you're one of the most valued members in our community. So we love seeing your posts.
Awesome. I think I need to cheers to all of our contributors. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Cheers. Keep smashing it. No, we were just going to say the reason you weren't here at the beginning of the show was that Tom's subject for his nutrition later on. So
yeah,
I was going to say,
can't handle it.
You walked
low
out on the show.
carbohydrate wine. Okay.
Walked out on the show.
It's okay. Tom sits on a throne of lies. We all know it.
Hey. Trueness.
But speaking of important members of the community, I wanted to give a quick spotlight to Mary Daniels. She just completed a 12-week nutrition course with some douchebag, but she's had stellar results, and I'm going to let that douchebag talk more about it.
So, Boz,
shameless self-promotion. Sorry, excuse me.
So Mary and I worked for 12 weeks. I was her nutrition coach for the last 12 weeks. We're going to show the pictures here. The pictures don't even do justice. I mean, it's outstanding what she's did. So she lost over 25 pounds over the course of 12 weeks. She lost 16 total body inches. When you see the pictures and the 25 pounds, I mean, it looks like it was 50 pounds with how much her body looks different. So there was a little recomposition as well. We definitely put on some muscle mass along with losing some of the body fat. But you guys are all familiar with Mary. She is in every one of our classes almost every single day. Nobody's working harder than Mary right now. She's doing multiple classes a day. She is really crushing it. And the dedication she showed, I mean, she, with everybody that you coach, there's always some wavering, there's always some doubt. There's always some of that. Mary she had no excuses. Every single day she put her best foot forward and she moved right towards goals. And we blew it out of the water with that. We were expecting somewhere between 15 and 20 pounds when she finally did that final weigh-in. And then just the pictures for themselves. So pretty awesome stuff. Mary, way to go. We're all so proud of you.
Yeah.
You get a cheers as well.
Yeah. Incredible.
No carb. No carb white.
I don't know Mary that well, but my few interactions with her, I do know is that she takes no shit and she's a straight shooter. So I get the impression if she sets her mind to something, that's it. It's happening. So
and absolutely. And if you call something she doesn't like in a workout, if you call something she doesn't like in a workout, she'll tell you not to do it ever again, and then you call it again, and she'll thank you for it. So I'm a big fan of that.
That's true.
Well, Mary and I have personally met, so screw the rest of you guys. All right, so there you go.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's cool, and you still can't say her last name right. That's weird.
Daniel is my brother's name, so I hope I can say that name correctly.
Except for Daniels.
Yeah.
He had two brothers, apparently. The two Daniels.
Or was it Daniels? I don't know.
That's true.
He is a no.
Also, just wanted to show quick another feature is our most recent, one of our more recent guests, Justin, and then also Tina. We had spoke with Vance about his weight loss challenge. And I believe the men, it was the first one to lose 100 pounds. And for the women, it was the first to lose 50 pounds. And it was, everybody had the same start date. And you you just go and you weigh in weekly. Well, both Tina, our former co-host, and Justin, our former guest, finally finished, and Vance sent them their trophies, and I think we're going to show the pictures of their arrival of the trophies here.
Absolutely.
So there they are. There's Justin, and then there's Tina's. So that's really cool. That they called it the Vance Hines Weight Loss 2020 Challenge, so maybe there's going to be a 2021. So it looks like if you do want to get into it, he actually does send the trophies, so that's good.
He does. Not only does he send a trophy, like if it's in the UK and you got a trophy, it'd be a little pedestal and a little cup with a little plaque on it. Those fucking things are like the All Valley Karate Championship trophies from Karate Kid. I'm like, wow, Vance, you really pushed the boat out. That was amazing.
Well, I was talking to Justin about that, and he was talking about maybe making a trophy for next year. And what I suggested, and we talked about, was something similar to the Stanley Cup. So each year, that person's name gets put on it, and it gets passed around. Yeah,
that's a good idea. Yeah.
You got to stay in a community, right? Or give it back.
Yeah, and I have to do
that with. Can you do that with COVID? Can we share during the COVID era?
It'll be highly disinfected, and
there we go. You wear the white gloves when you handle it.
We're just creating more jobs because someone will have to make sure that it's properly cleaned and passed on. So creating jobs.
True,
but it's metallurgy. It doesn't copper naturally disinfects. You just make it out of copper.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
There you go.
Also, I can testify to Justin's creative prowess. Let's say prowess, because some will know he's been giving me a little bit of shit about fighting with flashlights, and he made a flashlight saber himself, so he could. When finally COVID's are over, we get to meet in person. We can duel. So I'm going to put a little video, picture, whatever I can find of it up here and just show you, because look at this. I mean, that's impressive work.
Ingenuity.
It's going to be super awkward when Thomas shows up with his fleshlight to battle.
Correct. So I thought we were using fleshlights, not flashlights. So I go on Amazon.
I'm not putting a picture of that one up. My
grandmother watches the show. We don't want to do that.
But no worries. Tom got the last two.
COVID. They're hard to find, hard to come by. Fitness equipment and fleshlights. You just can't get them on Amazon these days.
Wow.
And once again, my credibility down the tubes.
So not only does he sell porn, he sells sex toys as well.
Yes.
Top
dollar.
The serial entrepreneur there, honestly.
Constantly.
And then one last thing, speaking of last names. Travis, you want to go forward with this one?
Look, man, Stacy and I have already talked. I said her name correctly, but I mumble. I'm a mumbler, and I'm from the South, okay? Podorsky.
I hear Dorksky. That's all I'm hearing.
Podorsky.
I'm hearing is Dorksky.
Huh? See, I'm not.
Hearing is Dorksky.
Say I'm not. I'm saying Podorsky.
He's still saying it fucking wrong.
Say the G, man.
You're missing the G. There's a G in it. That's
Podorsky. I'm not saying dork. I'm not saying dork.
We're so sorry,
you got to Taco Bell and order a burrito by rolling your R's. I'll take one burrito.
Poor Stacey. She's a nice lady.
We should have trained him before the show. We're really sorry. We did try. It's just not going in.
I thought for sure if we had you say it 5 times in a row, you would have gotten it right once. But
no.
Repeat after me. Podgorski.
That's what I said.
Did you know?
Podgorski. There you go.
That was
close. That was good. That was good.
It's an accent thing. That's all it is.
No, that's awesome. Yes, I love that was the first comment. You were like, I think I got it right this time. I've talked to her. We got it right. And she goes, nope.
And we talked after that is what it was. She knows I mumble. I have a Southern accent. It is what it is. It is what it is.
From this point on, she's just Stacy P.
I hope you guys feel good about yourselves making fun of me and my Southern accent. So there you go.
We love you and your Southern accent, you dick.
Yeah. I just didn't know G's were silent in South America. South America. Sorry.
You've never been to Orgia? It's Orgia.
Brilliant. Anyway, enough of our bollock waffle. We have another guest, ladies and gentlemen, as we always do. And I believe I get the honor this week. I don't know why.
Oh.
No, this is someone I'm privileged enough to call a very good friend. And she is one of the most lovely people in the DDPY community, one of the most lovely people I know. Many of you all know her from her spotlight video on DDP Yoga, on all the links. Her transformation video, it's pretty impressive, to say the least. I know she's blushing. I can see her backstage. So she's an amazing mother, journalist, and a DDPY certified level 1 instructor. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen, for the one and only Narin Flanders.
Hello. Hi. How's everybody doing?
Pretty good.
Hello.
Yeah, everyone good? Ryan, where are you going? I know, like, honestly, he's a man that is confident in his internet connection, isn't he?
Not at all.
That was perfect.
I can't wait to watch that back, Ryan. You're not gonna believe that really just happened.
I'm very excited. Yes.
Welcome there. Cheers. Welcome.
Hi, cheers. Lovely to be here. Thank you.
Yes.
What's the mug?
Oh, it's a Starbucks mug. It actually says London in it. I don't know if you can see. I don't want to tip coffee over myself.
I was expecting something nerdy.
Honestly, I am so paranoid about my internet connection. I'm at my mum-in-law's house, right? So this is the only mug that I can find. I've seen what you do to Travis. I'm not dicking around with my internet with you guys. No way.
Well, I guess Ryan's going to get all the shit today, so don't worry.
Well, honestly, if I'd known Ryan was there, I'd be sat in my armchair at home right now, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm buckled in for a shitty internet ride, so we're good.
And I just love the more he's talked, the more Mason has just gone in the background.
Actually, you can just see the corner of him. Bless him.
So, Naz, you're here to be interviewed, be grilled.
It's terrifying, you know. Like, I'm not used to this. See, I like to ask the questions. It's quite weird doing it the other way around. So, go on then. What do I need to? What do you want from me?
Oh, well, get right to it, huh? Come on, bring it up.
Come on.
Bring the juicy stuff.
Well, us
there is no
should be
juicy
nervous. Stuff. This is the first time we're interviewing an actual, like, qualified journalist. We're just fucking pretenders.
So. Actually, yeah, that's it. I was just like, oh, atrocious. What were you thinking?
Oh, yeah. Your credentials are better than any of ours. So let's get right to the grilling questions.
So, I mean, it's DDPY that's brought us together. So give us your origin. How did you find DDPY, and then why?
Why? Well, I kind of... Basically, it all comes back to, I guess, like most of us or a lot of us, I was very overweight for a very long time. I was kind of a chubby kid, grew into a chubby adult, and was always pretty big. And I had kind of two experiences that happened very close together about 4 years ago. The first one involving a 6-foot giant stuffed penguin, and the other one involving a family-sized bag of salt and vinegar crisps. Both of which kind of made me realize that I needed to do something about my weight. And off the back of that, I ended up kind of discovering it. First of all, I started trying to lose weight. And I lost some and was doing okay. And then at the point where I was doing it with my husband, and he went off and joined a gym and kind of in his lunch hour at work, and it was all great. And I worked from home around 2 small children who were kind of 2.5 and about 6 months at the time. So couldn't go to the gym. To be honest, I've never been a gym bunny. I'm not the kind of person for whom that is fun. So even if I had been able to go to a gym, it's not like I'd have been like, woo, yay, off we go. Not that kind of a person. And what happened really, if I'm completely honest, is I got a tax rebate, which coincided with Dallas doing a series of UK workshops. And a couple of my friends who live very far away from me kind of messaged me and were like, oh, this guy, DDPY, is going to do a thing in London. Like, we're thinking about coming down. And I was just quite up for a bit of a trip into central London without the children, meet a former, WWE championship wrestler, hang out with my friends. I kind of figured yoga wasn't my thing. I'd probably fall on my ass, probably hate it, wouldn't really do very much with it, but it was a day out, you know? So I went along and met my friends. And ironically enough, you were in the room, Boz, that day. As was Lavinia,
There was
as was Jenny Dell.
a lot of UK people in that room. Like,
so many people.
Crazy.
It's really funny because every September we have a little chat where we all go, oh, you know, however many years ago, like we all went to this thing, and none of us knew each other. And it was kind of a bit of a formative experience for all of us in the end, I think.
None of us interacted, I don't think. Will claims he checked some of us in, but I don't remember.
I don't, yeah, but I'm not sure. I think I met Will the day after at the comedy club kind of talk thing, maybe.
Right.
But it's all a bit hazy, really. But yeah, I kind of went along expecting nothing from it, really thought it wasn't going to be my thing at all, and absolutely loved it. And came away feeling very enthusiastic, and kind of really haven't looked back from there. It's been quite an interesting experience because, like I said, I'm not an exercise person, and I'm not someone who, well, at the end of the day, guys, I'm a journalist. I'm quite a cynical, grumpy person most of the time. So this whole thing, like, you know, all the fluffy, cheery positivity of this, like the fact, yeah, go on.
And you live here. Let's face it.
Well, that's the other thing, isn't it? Because let's be honest, it is kind of, it's a bit of a buy-in for us. You know, like every so often, if we're all feeling particularly giddy, we might be like, well done, you.
Yay.
Good job. Yeah. Like, you know, it's definitely a bit of a cultural shift, isn't it?
British people don't go, woo!
Well, that was the thing about Summit, wasn't it? It was basically, we were all looking at each other going, this is lovely, but, you know, well done. And that was about it. But yeah, so it's as much of a surprise to me that this has gone on as long as it's gone on, but it's been 3 years now.
I have always been big from a young childhood, really. As I went through university and into adulthood, I got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it just wasn't really a focus for me. At my biggest, I was 17 stone, which is 238 pounds. I think there came a point where I was what I considered so big that there was no point worrying about it anymore. It just kind of was what it was. I didn't feel like it was possible to do anything about it. My daughter, who was then 2, wanted to meet Father Christmas, and someone took a photo of me and her, and it was one of those things where I didn't really think about it at the time, but when I saw the photograph afterwards, that was the photo where I looked and went, oh my goodness, like what have I become?
And I have loved every minute of it, really. It's changed my life in so many very surprising and interesting ways. I've lost, now Boz, you're going to have to do some sort of like caption where you explain what this is for American people. But I started off at 17 stone, and I think my lowest I got down to is 10.5. I'm a bit above that now because, you know, pandemic, there's been a lot of banana bread to eat, all that kind of shenanigans. But yeah, so I've lost a lot of weight off it. I'm kind of fitter and healthier and happier than I've ever been, which is nice. It's completely changed things with me and my kids, which is lovely and really nice, and was kind of a big part of why I got into this in the first place. Like when I joke about the family-sized bag of salt and vinegar crisps, I did have a bit of a moment. I think it was very interesting for me. Like, I'd never been someone who was worried about my weight. I was kind of aware of my weight because I'd be really stupid if I wasn't. But I wasn't someone who spent like a lot of my adult life trying to lose weight or kind of worried about that. I was very focused on the other stuff I was doing. Like I had my job, I had my hobbies. I did a lot of geek freelance writing, which saw me traveling around the place. And I focused on all of that. So I was never like one of these people that was always on a diet or, you know, drinking soup at lunchtime or anything like that. But I had an experience with my daughter when she was about 2.5, where we have like these baby gate things. So you kind of shut the baby in a room so they can't wreak havoc throughout the house, basically. And I'd shut her in
cages here in America.
Do you know what? I could totally buy into that. That's completely fine. We're a little bit more free range in the UK.
Yeah, we have different gates. You know, gates that swing open or gates that you step over. Either one.
Yeah. We had, to be fair, Lily was a climber. You know, give her half a chance, she'd be out and roaming free. So we had like the high limber over kind of job.
Usually because she wants to give you a hug.
Yeah, sometimes, or you know, do shit. Basically, she is a rabble rouser. That girl.
She's a real hugger.
Just because she liked you, just because that's what it was. She sort of fell in love with Boz's beard, basically. So she was like, "Oh, Boz, I love you." Yeah,
just like the rest of us.
He's so huggable.
Well, he is, isn't he? He's just like a giant bear.
Bozzy Bear.
Yeah, so
Bozzy Bear.
Bozzy Bear. Yeah.
Never lived that one down.
But yeah, so I had and rightly so, my friend, really. So I had an experience where I was eating a family-sized bag of crisps in the kitchen while she was like locked basically in the living room, and she was kind of shouting at me from over the gate, like, you know, "Mummy, what are you doing?" And I was literally there, you know, hand in the bag of shame, you know, salt and vinegar crisp dust right at my arm, like just eating these crisps,
cookie monstering it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, like really, just kind of going, "Nothing, it's fine," you know, like, you know, brushing it out my off my top and all that. And I kind of suddenly had this moment of thinking, what the fuck am I doing? Like, you know, it's fine for now because she's in the other room and she can't see what I'm doing. But give it 6 months, she's going to be looking at this thinking that this is okay. And I know it's not okay, but at the same time, like, it sounds really silly to say it didn't bother me for me, but at that point I was suddenly like, shit, I've kind of got a bit of a responsibility for her to not fuck this up, right? And that was kind of part of what kickstarted it for me.
And I just had this moment where I thought to myself, I don't want her to see me eating the crisps, which is why I'm hiding in the kitchen so she can't see me. I don't want her thinking it's okay to eat crisps, like a whole family-sized bag of crisps like this, because I know that I don't want her to be like that. But that was the moment where I was like, something has to change now. And then one of my friends messaged me and said DDP was doing a London workshop.
And it kind of all went from there. So the two things kind of tied in really nicely. And it has made a massive difference. Like my life has changed so much. I've got like so much more energy for running around with them, which, as Boz will attest to, having met them, is probably for the bloody best, because like the Duracell bunnies of children. But yeah, it goes pretty well, and it's just been lovely, really. And you know, all the random experiences that have come out of this have been very cool, including stuff like Summit, and you know, getting to know all you guys who, frankly, and you might want to edit this out because it's just possibly too nice. But you guys, between the four of you, have pretty much got me through lockdown without losing my complete mind. Because your 100-day challenge group, Boz and the L2 workouts, and basically Travis wakey stretchy has just kept me sane for about like 4 weeks early in lockdown. I was doing it every bloody day. Like, it's just been amazing. Yeah.
Edit that out. That was way too nice.
I know, that's what I thought. I had a moment of self-awareness. Also, awkwardly, that's probably the kindest thing I've ever said to Boz. So I now feel a bit dirty and like I need to be really mean.
Yeah. Just lay it on for the rest of the day.
That's not
please.
true, but we're going to get to that later. I was going to say, so I don't like kids, but I like yours. So that means they must be really special. So there we are.
Oh, that's very nice.
I love kids. I'm joking. I just listen to myself.
I think we're joking about them being special. I was like, whoa there, Skippy. What the fuck do you mean from that?
So, Narin, I have a very, very important question. And this is coming from not me, but it's from 5-year-old Tom.
Okay, I love 5-year-old Tom. Come on, go for it.
This all has to do with your children. So we all have watched your DDPY video, which is awesome.
Oh,
and
lovely.
You're playing with the children in the park.
Yeah.
From 5-year-old Tom, why do you call soccer football?
Because we're right and you're wrong.
Oh, tell a 5-year-old he's wrong. Unbelievable.
Oh,
hard for life.
You've got to do it fast. Like, you know, there's no point. You got to nip this shit in the bud, right? Although I do feel really bad because the one thing about that video that is kind of a bit awkward. Like, one day my son is going to see that video, and I barely mention him in it at all. Like, it's all about like hanging out with my daughter and, you know, doing it for my daughter watching me eating the crisps and all this. Because my son was like 6 months when this started. Whereas now, like, you know, he's an actual little person who talks and stuff. But yeah, basically, you can sort of see him running around in the background of the video a bit. Like Lily and I are doing stuff and he's just chasing after us. Like, can I be involved? Pick me.
Perhaps 5-year-old Tom would like to just call it footy. Maybe he would like that better.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
We can, I think in the interest of transatlantic relationships, we will concede footy. That's allowed.
Yeah. And that brings the Aussies in and keeps them happy as well. So we're everybody's sorted.
Yeah. Everyone can get behind this.
We're like the United Nations today. This is great. We're bringing everybody together.
Yeah.
So the workshop was your introduction then, really. So how long after that day was it before you thought, I'm going to get certified and teach this? And your motivations for that?
Oh, okay. So that was September, and I signed up in September for the app and kind of went off and did my thing and really loved it. I wasn't doing it every day at that point, but I just loved it. And it was really nice seeing how much stronger I got kind of as the weeks progressed. It was very cool. And in about March, I went on what is called in my circle of friends our Lady Geekend away, which is basically there's a bunch of us who are all friends from all across the UK, basically. And once a year, we get together for a weekend and basically have afternoon tea, eat a lot of cake, drink a lot of booze, watch DVDs, and talk a lot of shit about geeky things.
We call that Saturday.
Well, we all live so far away. You've got to kind of really commit to it. So, we do it, and it's pretty awesome. But so I've not seen my friends for a year because we all live so far apart now, and people have jobs and responsibilities and stuff. It's one thing we make sure we do every March. So I pitched up at this sort of cottage we'd rented, like really sheepishly with my my yoga mat in my bag, like, I'm going to hide it. And I kind of sheepishly took my mat in and like under cover of darkness. I wasn't planning on doing it in front of anyone because it felt a bit lame, like we were going to go and get pissed and like hang out. And there was me with my yoga kit. Like,
I went to a metal festival where we stayed in static caravans. I took my fucking yoga mat and I did DDPY between bands. So like,
that's
I'm
amazing.
With you.
And just real quick, before you go too far, you just went from eating chips in hiding to working out doing yoga in hiding. That's a pretty damn good improvement.
Basically, what we're saying is, I like to do everything in secret. This is what we have learned. But yeah, so I kind of took my stuff and I wasn't going to sort of tell anyone what I was doing. I was going to wait because I've got kids and most of my friends don't. I get up stupid early. So like, whether the children are around or not, I'm awake at 5 o'clock in the morning. And normally I'm like sitting watching Sky News and like, drinking coffee or whatever. But I was like, I shall sneak downstairs and I shall get my mat out and I shall do it before, to offset the cake. This is going to be brilliant. And of course, I pitched up and none of them had seen me for a year. And it's not like I posed for a load of photos or anything. So everyone was like, holy shit. Now it's like, what have you done? Like, how do you look so different? What have you been doing? And I kind of explained it a bit. But didn't get too into. I was, a bit like playing it cool, like it's just this thing, ex-wrestler. You probably don't know him, whatever. And then on the second or third day, someone got up a bit early and came downstairs, and I'm there like leg cocked in the air in my broken table, and they sort of sat watching, and it was really really fucking awkward, to be honest, because they basically sat on the sofa and watched me do the end of like below the belt or whatever it was. And at the end of it, she just turned to me and went, that's all you've done. Like, you're doing that and you've lost all this weight and you look so different. Like, this is what you've been, like, literally, you just, your arm out, your foot back. That was it. And I was just like, well, yeah, like, I don't want to pitch it as you don't have to do much work to get much reward. But, it's not rocket science, people. Like, you could do this. And we ended up with all my friends. We were like rolling out towels and God knows what we could find in this cottage so that everyone could have a go. And I kind of busted out energy and I was helping them do it. And it was lovely. And at that point, I sort of thought, I kind of really enjoyed doing this. And I got like a bit of a kick out of it. And they all signed up for the app. And I mean, Nick Chisnell, because she comes to all your online classes now. Like, she's one of my best friends. I've known her 15 years. She is badass. And do you know what as well? Yeah. She's lost 6 stone, completely changed her life in a completely sustainable way. And is just so quiet about it. Like, it's amazing. She's brilliant. Like, she's just so cool. But all of my friends kind of went away and did it. And I sort of thought, this is really nice. And I was thinking about it and sort of saying to my husband, like, do you think I should? Is it a waste of money? And I got to a point, we went to Froome when Dallas came for that, and they did the kind of deal of £100 off or whatever it was if you signed up for certification.
Yeah.
And I just thought, like, it sounds a bit sort of cold-blooded and a bit selfish, but partly I was like, I want to do this because I really want to help people. And I think, you know, it's kind of a fun thing to do, even though as a side point, I find it incredibly awkward talking in front of people, which feels like, you know, it might not be ideal for someone who's going to be an instructor, but, you know, we'll figure that out after. But I also partly was like, if I sign up for this, I have to keep going. There can't be a day where I go, oh, fuck it, I'm not going to do it today. And then the next day comes and you think, oh, no, I'm still feeling a bit peaky, or I don't have anything on my program. So I won't. And suddenly you look and you've gone, oh, shit, I've not done this for 10 days, or I've not done this for a fortnight. And then suddenly you lose all the momentum that you've had. So part of it was like, yeah.
I think that's a brilliant point, because it's like you get to your finish line. So it's like, how do you keep that fuel, that drive? And, you know, like, that's where I kind of had a similar, like, okay, well, now I can help other people. And a byproduct of that is, you know, obviously you're still helping yourself. But yeah, absolutely. That's a perfect summation of how that, you know, comes about.
Well, I think as well, like, it always feels like a bit of a weird one. One of the things I really like about some of the guests that you've had so far is that there are some amazing transformation stories that you've talked about. But you've also, Kristen was very good at talking about what happens after the transformation, because the transformation is only the first part of this. Like, we all want this to be a sustainable thing. We all want this to be the rest of our lives. And on that basis, like, you've got to have whatever it takes to kind of keep you plodding on. And, you know, I mean, coronavirus and the whole pandemic thing has been a great example of something where everything feels like it's going fine and you feel like you've got some momentum. And then something just turns up where it can just really knock you sideways. And, you know, you're with the best will in the world. Like, I look at where I am now compared to where I was kind of before this started. And am I eating the right things? Kind of, maybe like 75% of the time. But like I said, there's banana bread. There's a lot more alcohol in my life in the last like 6 months than there has been. There's so much stuff like that where you kind of look and you kind of go, I've got to keep this going. How the hell do I keep this going? And it feels kind of a bit churlish when you're looking at the DDP groups and everyone is focusing on the transformations and, you know, getting to where you are. It feels like the worst kind of first world problem in a lot of ways, like to be like, oh, but we don't want to go back. Like, we want to kind of keep it, you know, it's like my diamond shoes are too tight. Like, I'm in this great position. I've transformed myself, but what if it doesn't stay like this? What do I need to do again? And it is really hard. But yeah, I think for lots of people, like, teaching is the next step for that, and it works really nicely. And it's kind of that thing, isn't it, Dallas? Now I'm going to misquote this, and one of you are going to have to correct me. But Dallas says something along the lines of, like, you know, when you help other people, you kind of help yourself. Okay, you're all looking at me blankly. Have I just made this up?
Never underestimate the power.
There might have been a bro in there, but yeah. But yeah, never underestimate the power.
You give someone when you believe in them.
No, somebody else.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, Narin.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, he said that before. He said helping others is helping yourself, more or less. And I've heard him say, he said it at workshops before, and that's what's more or less gotten his positivity spread, and about him was more how he helped everyone around him. Yeah, and it eventually helped. And it eventually helped him out, but he helped everyone around him. Yeah.
So, Narin, obviously, we all know that you changed your life for your daughter and not your son.
Not my son. I don't like him anywhere near as much. You know, by the time you've had one, the second is basically a spare in the UK. That's how it works.
Right. So you have children.
That she locks her daughters in cages too. So we established that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what you've got to work on that basis is, I don't really like my daughter that much. Son. Tough life.
Not at all. But we have children around the same ages. I mean, have you had difficulty trying to balance work, your fitness regimen, even instruction, and even being a mom? Or like, do they pop up next to you and work out and things like that?
They do. I very early on. This is going to sound terrible, but they are basically clearly my children, because the best way I can work out is to do it while they are eating. So what I tend to do, like particularly when they were little, I'd be like, "Here, children, have your breakfast," and then I'd roll my mat out in the hallway so I could see them, so they didn't start flinging food or anything. And I'd do my workouts kind of there while they were eating their breakfast. So for a long time, most of my workouts were about like 25 to 30 minutes because that was the period that I could safely get through before they started chucking shit at each other, basically. And that was how I did it, and I kind of fitted it in that way. And they're kind of a bit different now. Lily particularly is very keen to get involved, mainly because there's kind of a more traditional kids yoga that has become a big thing, particularly in lockdown, which is this terrifying woman who basically, I don't know if it's it might be a UK thing. I don't know if you guys have seen it over there. It's called Cosmic Kids Yoga.
Yes,
and
we have it here.
Yeah, so she takes all the things that you hate as children's pop culture anyway, and then she turns it into a yoga workout. So it's like, oh, great, trolls. I bloody hate trolls. But now it's trolls with yoga. Or Frozen is a popular one in our house, the Frozen yoga. And just various other things like that. Froga. Honestly, that makes it sound like Froyo, and suddenly I'm in.
Sorry, that's where my brain went.
So,
There's one video that she has that got assigned for my daughter's first grade gym, virtual learning gym. And the very first pose in the program, Black Crow. They're like, yeah, just take your elbows and put it. And I'm like, what? Are you for real?
Did your daughter do it though? Because I swear to God, if my daughter busted out Black Crow next to me, I'd push her over on principle. I swear.
No.
Right, can I just ask, are you driving over dead bodies right now? Like, has the apocalypse happened?
Well, he is.
We are in Chicago, man. Chicago roads right here. This is your tax dollars hard at work, Illinois.
Wow.
Nice.
I know you had infrastructure problems, but dude.
Yeah.
So, no, that's it is what it is. You're gonna deal with it. If you want, don't stabilize my video. Destabilize all yours.
We'll just
Star Trek it around that by all just like it'll be fine.
Yeah, but no, we're just outside of Chicago. So once we hit the 80-90, it'll be a lot cleaner. But it's a rough ride right now.
Nice. Narin, back to what you said earlier, and a lot of people need to hear that as you did the workout when you could. Your kids were eating breakfast, and a lot of people say, "Well, I don't have time to work out." Find that time, right? If it's 10 minutes, even if it's 10 minutes, or if it's 15 or even 20, find that time to work out.
Nobody says you have to do 30 in a row. You can do 10, 10, and 10. Just get it done.
Funnily enough, even now, because during lockdown, I've done a lot more working out, and because Boz's Lavinia, lovely Lavinia, is my accountability buddy, along with another friend of ours, Jude, and they're both lovely, but you know Lavinia, she kicks ass, right? So you've got to kind of keep up with her.
So Boz does not know that.
I know.
But so, I might do 2 or 3 workouts a day, but they still tend to be 20-minute chunks because it's just the easiest way. Because they're a bit more self-sufficient now, but frankly, if they're quiet for more than 20 minutes, I'm a bit frightened about what's going on in my house. So, doing it in those kind of chunks of time work really well. And I think it is quite funny what you say, Travis. I think when you watch all the transformation videos, I always joke about this, but I think it's kind of pretty valid. The thing about the The thing about the transformation videos is that they're kind of made in a way where they're not all going to resonate with you, but you might just find one that does. And I always joke that I am basically I have no time, I have small children, I like to eat cake demographic. That's me. So if you watched my video and you're that kind of a person, then you think shit, I might be able to do this. Whereas, the people that have, really difficult things that have happened to them, or, have massive physical traumas that they've overcome, those are different videos. That's not who I'm appealing to. I'm appealing to you can do this slowly and still eat cake and it'll kind of get you done and you'll get there.
So are you on the, I just want to clear this on for Ryan. Are you on the hashtag Team Cupcake?
No, it's Team Cake, but yes, I actually am.
Yeah, the
my
whole
friend
cake.
Nick, the whole cake, all the cake. No,
that,
I
Ryan.
have to say, we have.
You already admitted you sided with me last week, asshole. Sorry.
He did.
You gotta love the cake. You do. No, but we're quite fans of afternoon tea around here, which is not like a big cake. That's lots of little kinds of cake, you know?
Right. Okay.
That's where you go, like bits of different kinds of cake. But in all seriousness, like I do like my cake. I do
You can have
kind of like
cake.
that's not cake, my friend. Honestly.
It's a cake.
It's low carb cake.
We were
Cake.
such good friends, and look what you've done.
The best way to eat that, Ryan, I'm telling you right now, is to open that wrapper and toss it right out the window.
Just
No,
eat
in all
the wrapper.
seriousness,
Just eat the wrapper.
it's to open that wrapper and put it in the microwave for like 10 seconds. And then you eat it, and then you don't feel bad because it's fantastic and it's full of protein and you get muscles, Travis.
Oh, I don't like mussels. No, I'm just kidding.
Muscles are overrated.
It's right.
No, I
Travis, you know what?
that's my
you're about to
demographic.
a piece of real cake, to be honest.
Travis is coming back next week and he's going to be like, high protein cupcakes, motherfucker.
I feel really bad because I feel like I've led you astray. They're going to be like, what the fuck is this episode about where it's all about the cake?
It's all about that cake. That's going to be
by
the
the
name
way-
of this episode.
That's
your
the name of the
name,
That's the
episode.
name right there.
Yep.
No, the name of this episode is Cake or Death.
Cake or death.
Oh,
Cake is a lie.
No, the cake is a lie. Thank you.
The cake is a
Yes.
lie. Yes,
You are
I
my
got
friend
you.
again. Yeah, okay,
You're a
we're
portal.
good.
They don't
mean-
get that reference because they suck.
No, well,
I didn't finish it because I'm not very good at gaming.
Ah, I heard that. I
One
heard
of
your
the
shit at it.
games ever. Oh my god, though.
Oh, yeah.
Last week, I got to play the virtual Star Wars game at Boz's house. Oh my god, it was amazing. So good.
Yeah, I put a VR on it ahead. Had to be done.
It was, you were lucky I didn't walk into a wall, to be honest. Like, let's
No, it
face
does sound
but
fun.
it
I'm
was
not a
so
gamer,
much
but that
fun.
does sound fun, though.
It was
Oh yeah,
great.
VR is super fun. It's super awkward, and no matter what you do, you're never gonna look cool doing it.
I've only done a VR game one
I'm not
time,
being
and
funny, but
I
like,
don't know if it was the alcohol had a little much to drink, but it was a roller coaster, and I swear to God, 15. I don't even know if it was 15 seconds. I literally yanked the VR off my head because I felt like I was upside down. I couldn't handle it. But don't drink
Isn't it?
VR.
No, I know.
Travis, was it 4 Guinness?
That was
Okay,
was
we
more
need
like
to know, was
14
it
Guinness.
4 Guinnesses or was it more? And honestly, Scott French, that is not how you pour Guinness ever. Like, what was the man
Did you
doing?
hear me, Narin? Did you hear me say, let it
We
settle?
both. We were like,
he
no,
was
and you were
pouring
like,
them
yeah.
up here. Like, oh my god, it's not a milkshake, dude.
He was excited. He was excited.
No, I poured mine correctly. I still dumped mine. I had the can. He had the bottle. Two different
Oh,
ways to
Yours,
pour.
yours had the widget, so
Mine has
that's
the widget.
allowed. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely widget.
So-
It's got a widget.
Which-
Sorry.
but
I mean, Narin gets that
You
reference.
realise that's a pop culture reference no one else is going to get.
After 100 years, you can now enjoy John Smith's draft in a can. It's got a widget for that just served by the landlord taste. So? Oh, I'm not doing this.
What, don't you like the beer?
Well, I like the beer, it's just not my material. It's degrading.
Jack!
I'm sorry, I am not prepared to compromise my hard man of comedy image. I mean, why should I? Widget. It's got a widget. A lovely widget. A widget it has got. Widget.
And they're just going to
I
think you're a
know,
weirdo.
but I'm usually on my own, and I've got one of my own people here.
Yeah, until we start
Yeah,
talking
but now they just
wrestling.
think we're both weirdos. Honestly, Ryan, I was like, oh my God, you guys are going to go on for hours. I'm going to be here until the end of time. Will just messaged me and said, hey, Hell in a Cell starts at 11. And now I'm like, fuck it, talk as much as you want, guys. I'll just hang out here. It's fine.
Can
I
we
have
do
literally no idea what that means. So
Can
I
we
know,
do a what the fuck is up with that since we have 2 people from the UK in here today?
yeah,
What the fuck's up with
I
yeah,
have
that?
I've got one.
Okay.
I have
got one.
I have one I have a prop even. And this has been sitting for a while. This is Heather's idea, not my idea. Do you guys know what this is?
It is a
Yeah, it's a
tanker.
growler.
A growler. What's a growler in
Growler?
the UK?
Yeah, we don't really have those.
Well, it is kind of a euphemism for something, though. Boz.
Correct.
Yes.
I was
Although,
trying to
what kind of
deflect.
a world is
Trying to
it where
deflect.
I'm
That's the name
telling
of the
them
show.
you're not? Come along.
I'm gonna if you guys don't
Look.
Urban Dictionary it, I'm gonna make Boz to put it up in the screen, or he can explain it right now. But this is a growler in the United States, and I'd love to know what a growler in the UK is.
I could go and get mine. I literally have a Brewdog beer growler in the other room, so it's
deflecting
too. I am deflecting.
He is blushing.
He's actually blushing under the beard.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Trav,
I can see that. So I want to know now what it is. I'm about to Google that shit.
Everybody's going to be in suspense.
I believe it's just lady parts, isn't it? I mean, it's not sophisticated euphemism. Am I wrong? I don't know.
I love the way you asked that. Like, I should know because I'm the owner of the lady parts. But okay, yeah, it is the lady parts.
No, I'm just thinking fellow Brit was where I was going, but okay.
Is that it, though? I thought
it's a euphemism.
Yeah. We have many
dictionary.
Way to go,
Dictionary
Tom.
says it's.
I heard it, I would imagine it's. Go on.
Unkempt and disgusting.
I was going to say, I would imagine that it is to do with it being kind of fuzzy, and that would be a thing, because,
Right.
But yeah, I'm not sure disgusting. Disgusting might be a step too far, like steady.
So Heather has friends from the UK that came over to visit, and Heather's a big craft beer fan, as am I. So we said, hey, let's go to the craft brewery. It's going to be a lot of fun. They were totally about it. And Heather's like, let's go grab the growler. And they almost died. They fell over laughing hysterically. Like, what are we taking to the brewery? And then she had to show them and explain. So I was hoping that would go better. But
well, I mean, so we're doing what the fuck's up with that. Then we have to reciprocate, Narin. And I've realized Tom is his shot is perfect for this. Because one of my what the fuck is up with that about America is your fucking light switches are the ugliest fucking things on the fucking planet. Look at that monstrosity behind your head. What
does your light switch look like?
It's twice the size it should be.
That's like,
you see that
this big.
You see that little LED light there? That is my light switch.
That's true. That's true.
I'm gonna try to turn it up a bit.
I don't know. We got paddles in our house.
Wow.
Yeah, but the paddles are huge as well. But
yes, and they look nice.
But they're this big.
They are big.
They're not.
Such an eyesore on the wall. Our light switches are like that big.
That's how
all of them.
It's going to sound weird, but that's how big mine is. The light switch.
We're going to save that for the clip too. That's how big mine is. 100%. That's going in the clip.
You know what? This all started going tits up when you started talking about growlers. This is all your fault.
It's not my fault. I'm an investigative journalist like you are. I have to get out of the.
That's a 15-year-old
I gotta find out.
How wide is it? It's as long as it is wide.
Incredible.
It's like a hockey.
Incredible.
It's like a hockey.
I'm glad we now know.
But
it's on the wall. If you want to know, it's on the wall. You dirty bastard.
Tom's is the old traditional type, where they stick out loads and they're square and boxy and
Well, this is the same size that our. This is the exact same size of the plate that we have for our plugs too. So I think that's why it's the same. Is that the same over there?
Correct. Yes. They're all the size. They're all the size of the junction box.
Yeah.
Do you have the same size?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Ours are square. Symmetrical.
But in all seriousness, so the junction box is significantly smaller. So what the large plate allows you to do is fuck up royally on your cuts.
Exactly.
So,
like the gaps on your toilet doors. Now it's painting a picture. Now I understand.
There you go.
Yes.
Oh, I love it.
Okay. So, Narin, were you? I know we've done our trivia nights and our chats and stuff, and you've always seemed to be a bit more into wrestling than some of the others. Definitely more than Boz. Were you a wrestling fan before you had started DDPY, or is that?
Long before. In fact, it's a running joke in my family because I'm half Turkish, so my dad's Turkish, my mum's English, and when from about age, my sister was about 8 and I was about 11. We loved wrestling, and my dad was just like, what the fuck? It was just the weirdest thing to him, but he was such a lovely dad. So he used to basically take us to all the WWE shows when they started coming to the UK, basically empty his wallet into a bin as we bought all of the merchandise that we could get when we were there. Because of course, in the UK, they didn't sell any of this stuff. And pre-internet, it wasn't like you could kind of buy it anywhere. So yeah, I had everything. I loved it so much. We went to SummerSlam at Wembley Stadium, which was amazing. And the best thing about that was, Bulldog
British
Bret
Bulldog
Hart.
Bret Hart. Yeah, that's a big one.
Amazing, like one of the best matches. But the thing about that was the most amazing thing was because my mum and dad were very lovely taking us to it. My mum was kind of a bit more into it than my dad. My mum lost her shit so much at that match that she lost her voice for 5 days
wrestling
afterwards. We don't care, Boz. Go away. I'm taking your place now.
Here we go. Let him put his buds back in. Hang on a minute. Let him put his buds back in.
Coming back
Here
now.
we go. Boz, she said you could take off. She's going to take your spot from now on.
You know what it was? Tina's been trying, but she hasn't gotten to this point. I'm doing it now. You're done. Like, this is
Infiltration.
Yeah. But yeah, so loved wrestling. Have always loved wrestling. My sister stopped, and I didn't, like, right the way through. There were points where I didn't have sort of satellite TV, so I didn't see so much of it. But it's kind of been a bit of a running joke that through a lot of my 20s, like, my family were a bit like, what kind of adult woman watches wrestling? Like, you know, why would you do that? And now I'm like, look what this has got me now. Like, this is very cool. And also, when I met my husband on our first date, he asked me if I liked any sport.
He chokeslammed you.
No? No, he didn't. He asked me if I liked any sport, and I basically turned around to him and went, well, I don't know, does like professional wrestling count as a sport? And he went, yes, thank you. This is why I married him and not you, my friend. He said,
only
yeah.
reason.
Yeah, the only
one.
reason, obviously. But of course, the thing was, he said yes, and I was like, do you really mean that? Or like, is this just I watched Hulk Hogan when I was 7, and now, like, because you've said that, so we basically spent most of our first date with me going, well, what do you think about Ring of Honor then, exactly? And like, kind of asking each other obscure questions.
I like what you like.
Hopefully this isn't too upfront, but did you tap out to the figure 4 later that night, or was it
not that night, but not long after, because it was a major factor, really. But no. Well, in the end, I married him, so you know, something happened.
Long-term booking. Long-term booking.
Off the top rope.
Well, that's awesome.
I'm just wondering if at the climax moment is and kick out.
No,
you're a dead man and a dead woman.
Yeah, we are dead men and dead women.
So Boz has told at least I think it's probably been off air, but when you guys were at the summit and you and Will kind of had your mark out moments with Scott Hall and stuff like that. So I'm sure that just makes your buy-in to the program that much more. I mean, it's really weird to rub elbows with people that we grew up watching. These are legendary figures in the sport, and you know. Yeah,
it's lovely. I think it definitely adds something to me. Although the funniest thing was because randomly I got my mum-in-law into doing DDPY. Not like she didn't
need to do weight. You guys took a trip to the PC, correct?
Yeah, we went to the PC together. Basically, my lovely husband, apart from fucking off for a week to go to Summit, where basically he took a week off work to look after the children so that I could go. Then about 6 months later, my mum-in-law and I went back to Smyrna. And again, he just looked after the kids while we did it. But when I went back,
is a legend.
I met. He really is. Like, he is a very lovely man. And to be honest, part of the reason why I've been able to be so successful losing weight and getting healthy in the way that I have is because he's really supported me. And I think that's really important. And he started losing weight around the time I did, but did it joining a gym. We've only ever done one DDPY workout together, which was my first attempt at an L1 record. And basically, we never argue about anything, but I swear to God, I was like, no, the other left. And then after a while, I was like, well, this isn't going to be an hour, is it? Because it's just taking me so long to get you to do this right. And then I'm guessing
his proprioception is not so good then.
He loves going to the gym. He loves doing weights, and it works for him, and that's great. And this works for me, and we just give each other time to do it. So it's very cool. But yeah, so going back to that, when we went to Smyrna, Andrea and I, Garrett introduced me to Raven, and that completely. I didn't even really say very much to him because my big problem in all of these situations, and part of the reason why I've never had a proper conversation with Dallas, is because I completely clam up. Like when I meet someone who it's a really weird thing, because obviously I interview people for work all the time, and I've been quite lucky. I've interviewed a lot of celebrities and kind of politicians and people and been completely fine. But there's just something about some of the people that I've met through doing DDPY where I'm literally just like, and then I can't speak. And with Dallas, there's an extra side element of if I start talking to him about what this means to me and how it's changed me, I'm basically going to start crying on him. Yeah. So my inner monologue is like, don't say a fucking word because you're going to cry. Even with Raven, it was so lovely to see him, and he looked so well. And he was going in to do a sort of one-to-one thing with Garrett. So Garrett introduced me, which was lovely. But even then, I was just like, hello, lovely to meet you. Looking well. And then he wandered off, and Andrea was like, I'm not worthy. And he left, and Andrea was like, who was that guy? And I was just like, doesn't matter. You won't understand, but it was really very good.
One of those criminally underbooked wrestlers from WCW history, Mom.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, yeah, but bear in mind, the whole wrestling side of it for Andrea is just like, it boggles her mind. And we hung out quite a lot with obviously like David Ali and Danny and people like that who work at the PC who are also kind of wrestlers in their own right. And she was just like, hold on a minute. So Danny just punched someone in the face, and it's like, yeah, she did, but that's allowed because that's kind of what she does, and that's fine.
Yeah, don't fuck with Danny. Seriously,
that kind of person. Like, just. Yeah. But what if someone hit her back? It's like, well, they do. That's kind of the point, But it's okay because. Her. Yeah.
Talking about a transformation. She's had a transformation. Have you seen her lately?
Amazing. She's amazing. Absolutely. Yeah. But honestly, you're bloody right. They need to sign her. Like AEW's women's division. Like she's brilliant, and she would be so good for it. And I think that's one thing at the moment is WWE's women's division is a lot stronger than AEW's.
100%.
And it's one thing they're really missing. And I don't understand why they're not doing more to get female talent. And they're kind of frittering around with all this other stuff.
I saw your rant on heels, and I could not agree more.
In my head just now, I was like, do I rant about this? I probably need to dial it back a bit. But yeah, stuff like that. Like, ugh. Yeah, basically, they've decided the way to get women, like female wrestling fans involved, is to set up like a little special club that we can all join for however many, I think it's like $80 a year or something, where we get little Zoom parties and we can all kind of chat. And I'm like, no, here's a plan. Book decent female wrestlers on the main card doing exciting storylines, and then female wrestling fans will come. Like, we don't need our own special space because like the men are doing all the other stuff. Just like book it properly. Like, it's not rocket science,
Yeah, don't treat it as men and women wrestling. Treat it as wrestling. Plain and simple.
Exactly. But
so people see me nodding along. He said the only reason I'm nodding along is because I met these awesome people at the PC, and now they're on my television 2 or 3 times a week. So I can't not be interested at that point when Dylan's up there, Danny's up there, and they're just smashing it as far as I can tell. So
they are. They're doing
that's the only wrestling I watch is when this is like, oh yeah, Dallas is going to be on or someone's going to be on. I was like, I'll watch it then. I did start watching AEW.
They get to live their dream, and they have an instant connection through AEW because of the PC. And I mean, obviously, all the hard work they're putting, in the ring as well. But I mean, it's just how all of this funnels together. It's remarkable. It really is.
It was funny when
it's really very
we're at the summit and Cody Rhodes walks in with his new blonde hair, right? And everybody like Naz and Will are like,
Will and I were like elbowing each other, going.
I'm like,
and Boz is like,
blonde hair, perfect face, like pink blazer jacket. I'm like, oh, he's a wrestler then. And everyone's queuing up for autographs at the end. They're like, you coming? I'm like, no, I'm good. But like, since I've been watching AEW, I'm like, oh yeah, he's actually pretty fucking good, isn't he? Like, kind of wish I made the effort to at least say hi at some point. Anyway, there you go.
Yeah, that was my one fanboy moment. As I hit him in the parking lot, I'm like, hey, gonna need that photo before everybody else does. He goes, yeah, straight up, right to the face. That's why he was always taking pictures from one side.
You don't want to do that because he always bleeds from the head. It's a weak spot here. You got to watch that on him. But
well, yeah, once you blade once, man, you bleed forever.
It's like tissue paper.
Yep.
So I know I'm biased here, and I big up Narin lots, and I keep she's going to blush, but I keep saying what a wonderful person she is. But we went to Summit. We shared a house. There were 4 of us in this house.
We watched Gilmore Girls together. It was like a moment.
We watched Gilmore Girls in America, which is still one of the defining moments of my life. I will defend it till I die.
If you were in the South, I believe it would be Ilmore Earls, but that's fine.
Call back. So we had.
I think that's my Giddle finger.
Anyway, so of course I've mentioned before my big moment to teach on the stage, and being the first one. So there was no sort of getting used to how it worked, what the dynamic was. It was like, go to the PC, listen to Dallas talk, then up on the stage, you're first. Fuck me, was I nervous. And Naz coached me through all of it. Just calm, reassurance. You got this. You're going to be fine. But also, when we got back, weeks later, after the most amazing trip of my life, probably, this arrived through my door, okay? This is a printed bound book made by Narin, and it's Transformation Summit 2019. What happens in Smyrna is photographed a lot, is the title. And basically...
And indeed it was. Not just by us, but by everybody.
I believe, actually, that is a picture of me watching Gilmore Girls. That's the page it opened at. What does that tell you? Yeah, so...
Oh, I thought you were going to show us a not picture of Will again.
This is so precious, and it was so lovely of you to do it. None of us were expecting it, and I will be forever grateful for that, because I am shit at memorializing stuff and taking photos and making the most of things when I'm there. And
then I've got that to revisit it. Okay, thank you.
That's really, really, really cool.
Yeah. And by the way,
you guys in it as well. Oh yeah, Lavinia gets her own fucking copy. You're not sharing
and I get my own. Yeah, exactly. Which I love as well, so thank you.
Tom sent me jack shit. It's nothing. Nothing at all. Actually, he sent me a letter and he didn't even stamp it, so I had to pay 35 cents. So
wow.
I'll send you
to him, so it's
now, Ryan. We should have done it earlier. It would have been fine.
Yes. So
it's that weird thing about Summit though, is that like you guys were at Summit too, both of you guys, and I think I saw you vaguely, but was just utterly terrified to kind of say hello. So like now, all the people that I've talked to post Summit, like I kind of almost regret. Like we need to go back so that I might actually talk to you people.
It's crazy how it all happened. Like the first person I talked to was Lavinia. I worked out behind Will and Boz during the Dallas workout, the Dallas Lexi workout. Tom was. Between Tom and I, it was me, then Jason Weeks, then Beverly, Bruce, and then Tom in the photo line. Like we stood in that photo line for 2.5 hours and didn't say a word really. I think I'm pretty sure I wolf whistled at Tom when he got his photos taken.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did there because I think I may even yelled Trap City at him. But yeah.
But did you do it and then duck down so he didn't know?
No, absolutely not. I got swole. You got to get up.
So I was the last person in line, and Dallas had a workout right after that because they had me do an interview, and then I got back late, so I was the last person in line. I got up on stage. You're like, pose, get the fuck off the stage. Dallas got to use the stage. So I have one picture from Summit.
Honestly, those photos on the stage. Go on. No, sorry.
Yeah, some people had like a 30-minute photo shoot with all these different angles and lighting. And
or Garrett on their shoulders and fucking.
No, I hated that. I hated the ones on the stage. I felt so self-conscious that if you see any of my photos, he was literally like, "Right, do you want to go into Black Crow?" And I was like, "No,
not really."
He's like, "Okay, well, do you want to go into a side plank?" I'm like, "Well, I'm not really warmed up, so no." He's like, "Okay, we'll go into Warrior." I'm like, "Okay," and I'm like standing there. I look like I'm being held hostage in a series of yoga poses, basically.
Look like that.
Like it was just excruciating because everyone's watching you, and whether you mean for them to or not, A, everyone's looking at your form, but B, everyone's like, "Fuck, I've been in this queue for like an hour and a half. Like, could you just move it along a bit faster? Come on."
Off the stage.
I mean, my dream come true of a picture on the stage with the DDPY logo lit up behind me, doing Black Crow, and the fucking photo, I've got 1 foot on the floor. He took it too early. I can do Black Crow, but I have no photographic.
Sure, you can.
I can fix it.
Yeah, I worked so hard to learn to do Scorpion. I was like, I'm going to do a Scorpion in that pose, but I had no idea they were going to take it from a stage.
Oh,
so I'm like, so if I went forward, you're going forward. And like, you're talking. So I was so scared. I'm like, I'm going to give it a shot. If you don't get it, you don't get it. And it was up to that point, it was probably the best one I ever held because I refused to fuck it up.
That's amazing, though. That's so cool.
Yeah. So, and that will forever be like, that was like, yeah, it was just like, that's my photo. I mean, shit, it looked just like Tom's transformation
photo.
I'm going to put that
in
everywhere.
your house somewhere.
You mean
yeah,
it is. It's large. It's larger than our family photo. It's huge.
Well, that's fine.
Brilliant.
Love it.
So the nuclear question, Ryan, you always have one.
Okay, so I'm surprised you haven't touched on it yet. You may have when you start talking about a penguin, but you are obsessed with Disney.
Yes, I am.
Like absolutely obsessed. Like
but I'm married into a
unhealthily.
family that I think unhealthy is a judgy word. I think we need to rethink
and I'm being judgy, so
wow, it was all going so well. No, I am obsessed with Disney, and I also married into a bit of a Disney family. So Matt and his mum and his brother, like they used to go to Disney World like every year. Like I went to Disney World because I'm half Turkish. My dad used to take us on holiday to Turkey, and that was fine. We saw lots of relatives, and it was a holiday, and that was it. Like we weren't going anywhere else because why would you when you could go there? Matt's family went to Disney World pretty much every year from when he was very little. So by the time I went to Disney World for the first time with him, I think it was like his 30th visit or something. So at that point, like we literally went for a fortnight, and he proposed to me at the end of the first week. I swear to God, if I'd gotten to Disney World and gone, it's all right, I suppose, I genuinely think he might not have proposed. So, we are a Disney family. I'm very happy about that, but it's probably for the best.
Okay, so let's say you have $100 and you've got to place a bet on a fist fight between Dallas and Gaston.
It's got to be Gaston. I'm sorry, Dallas. It's not even a guess, is it? Like he'll cheat clearly.
Poor Dallas. Is he ever going to win one of these fights? Is it going to be the time we finally get him on here? They'll be like, who wins in a fist fight between you and
anybody?
Yeah, at the point where Dallas is against himself, it's all got a bit awkward, hasn't it?
Hey, I'm just glad, Ryan, that you didn't ask me to read that question because number one, I don't watch Disney. And number two, I don't know who the hell Gaston is. So I would have said Gaston. I said Gaston or Dallas.
Gaston or Dallas.
So do you want to tell him who Gaston is?
He is the baddie in Beauty and the Beast, except if you watch the live action film, it's all a bit conflicting because in the live action film, he's hotter and just more charismatic than the actual hero. And at that point, questions have to be asked and it's all a bit awkward. But yeah, he's a bad man.
He has
and a cheeky man.
Song.
He does have the best song. Yeah, he does. Yeah.
And have you seen all the videos of him doing push-up competitions?
Yes, I have. I love them so much. Brilliant. I'm really sad I've never seen one in person because I think they're hilarious.
Yeah, they have character actors, for you, the guys that don't know, and they play the character all day, every day. And he'll challenge people to push-up competitions. And the Gaston characters,
basically, he'll do amazing things, but at the end of it, you're watching going, oh my God, he's really good at this and he's really strong and this is really impressive. But at the point where whichever poor schmuck has come along and been like, oh, I can totally beat Gaston, at the point where they start feeling a bit demotivated, then he'll cheat to kind of make them feel better. Right. But at the same time,
but if they're a bit too cocky, he'll go to one-arm push-ups and just start knocking them out. One arm.
Seriously.
You need to rephrase your question then. With 10 seconds slow burn push-ups, who's winning, Gaston or Dallas?
Ooh,
well, Dallas doesn't count to 10.
Who's counting? That's the question. Who's counting?
He counts to 10. He counts to 10, but it's not a 10-second count. It's the 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get down there, boy.
Okay, when they do this, I'm gonna have to start overlaying ominous music, like the rebels are at it again.
No, you're going to have to hunt down some of this video of Gaston doing one-arm push-ups.
You need to put a little warning. It's like Ryan's opinions do not speak for Boz.
I tell you what, I'm feeling very impressed that I have managed to bring more wrestling than I have heard in any of these yet, and Disney.
Well, it's because there's a net wrestling talk, and I told Boz right away. I said there's going to be some.
Yeah, damn right there is.
Okay, well, that was amazing. We're gonna be moving on here to Tom's nutrition segment. Do you want to stick around and make fun of him with us?
Oh wow! Since you put it that way, how could I possibly say no?
Perfect. I mean, we always ask the question, but I mean, unless you hang up, you literally don't have a choice. So that's it. So bringing Thomas center stage. I'm just gonna crack my knuckles here. Right. So, Naz is sticking around, like we gave her a choice. So, Dr. Tom, as ever, the we can't have the poll because we still have the names coming in. And this week's name has come from Rianoiklos.
Nailed it, Travis.
And
he nailed it.
Title this week is apparently it's Tom's Tall Tales, which I think may prove kind of true, but we'll see. We'll see.
Ooh.
Off you go, sir.
Ryan Nichols is also a flat Earth believer too.
True.
I believe so.
So, guys, last week and the last 2 weeks, we talked about protein, we talked about fats. So this week, we're going to start our talk on carbohydrates. Now, again, this is all meant to bring us all together. This is all about just stating just what's behind science. So I don't have any side in this game, although Ryan thinks I do. I absolutely don't. This is probably going to be separated in probably 2 to 3 weeks. So what we're going to do is, because there's so much to talk about, today we're just going to talk about what carbohydrates are, what they do in your body, what they don't do in your body. And then in the next few weeks, I'm going to reach out to you guys, and I want you guys to reach out and tell me what's your major confusion about carbohydrate consumption, because it is the most confused topic. You guys will all agree with me on that. If there's ever sort of arguments about nutrition, it's usually about carbohydrates, and it's usually about plant-based whole food diet. So we'll talk about this over the next few weeks. So today's going to be a little bit boring. It's probably have a lot of big words, but we'll get through it. So let's talk about a couple myths here. Eat carbs and you'll get fat. Eating carbs will cause you to have a heart attack, give you diabetes, and you'll die. Your diet should be as low in carbs as possible. Some other people say that. But then there's a wave of people saying some carbs are healthy carbs, some are not. Some people say high carb diets are better than low carb diets, but only if you're eating the right kinds. Low carb diets burn fat, so eat less carbs. So again, I don't know if you guys noticed the trend here. I took fat from last week and I put carbs in those same sayings because they're the same myths that are going over and over and over. So what we're going to do today, let's break down in the next few weeks. Let's break this down the same way we do it every single time, science and logic. So let's first talk about what food types contain carbs. So we're talking about a lot of different foods. We're talking about our dairy products. That's our milks, our yogurts, our ice creams, our fruit, whole fruit and fruit juices, our grains, our breads, pasta, rice, crackers, cereal, legumes and beans. They're very also high carb items, starchy vegetables, including potatoes and corn. And then we're talking about all our sugary sweets. So we're talking about our sodas, our candies, our cookies, for Narin, those cakes, all those desserts. Now, each choice have varying amounts of carbohydrate contents, right? So some are going to be a little bit higher in the carbohydrates, some are going to be lower. Some are going to contain different types of carbohydrates. So let's talk about what's all we're going to spend this week is just what physically is a carbohydrate. So carbohydrates, an organic molecule typically classified according to their structures. So from structurally speaking, there's 2 different types of carbohydrates, simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates. And that can be further broken down into monosaccharides, disaccharides, and polysaccharides. Now, simple carbohydrates are smaller. They're more easily processed in the body. And they're either known as mono or disaccharides because they either contain 1 sugar molecule or 2 sugar molecules. So let's talk about the 3 most common monosaccharides. We're talking about glucose, fructose, and fructose is in fruit, galactose, which is in dairy. Now, glucose is the type of sugar that we're talking about when we're referring to the blood sugar. So the type of sugar that's floating around in our blood that's produced by the food we eat is glucose. So anytime we're talking about your blood sugar level, we're talking about your blood glucose. Now we talk about some of the disaccharides. We talk about sucrose. That's table sugar. That's glucose and fructose. We also talk about lactose. That's glucose and galactose. That's what's found in all your dairy products. Complex carbohydrates, on the other hand, are called polysaccharides because they contain more than 2 sugar groups linked together all in one large chain. So they take a little bit more for the body to digest and break down. So a couple examples of complex carbohydrates is starch. Now, starch is the digestible form of many glucose molecules linked in one single form. There's also cellulose. Now, that's also known as fiber. Now, fiber is mostly indigestible by humans, and it's made up, again, of a very, very long link of glucose molecules. But the difference between starch and cellulose is that cellulose is the non-digestible form. Then we also have glycogen. Now, glycogen is in a regular matrix of a bunch of glucose molecules held together. That's the most common form of stored carb that's stored in our muscle tissue and livers. And we're going to talk about that later in what our body does to produce glucose. Now, all of the carbohydrates that we talked about earlier, they all get broken down in the body into one single molecule, which is glucose. So they all, no matter if they're one single molecule, if they're several molecules, our body breaks those down into glucose. Now, this is what carbohydrates are used for in the body. And this is the order of importance. So at first, they're transported to the cells and broken down for immediate energy use. That's our number one reason what carbohydrates do in our body. Secondly, they're transported to the blood and they circulate to provide glucose to the needy cells, particularly brain cells. Brain cells do not store much fuel, and that's their preferred use is glucose. So for brain cells to properly function, they need some sort of glucose. Now, the third priority is they're transported to the liver, where they're going to be assembled as glycogen for storage. Now, liver glycogen can be broken down to release glucose in the blood when blood glucose levels fall too low. And this is a process called gluconeogenesis. So the last function of carbohydrates, they're transported to the skeletal muscles to assemble as glycogen for storage. So when skeletal muscles are working really, really at high intensity levels, and that goes for people that are runners, joggers, weightlifters, DDPYers, they rely heavily on the stored glycogen to provide energy to power muscle contraction. So that's the major function there is muscular contraction. So energy needy cells in the body, they get first priority for incoming glucose. Now, not until all of those cells are energy satiated will carb consumption result in increased blood glucose. So that's the first thing we need to do. We need to, kind of meet all of our needs first, and then the excess blood sugar in the body increases our blood glucose. Once blood glucose is at an appropriate level, liver glycogen synthesis becomes a priority. So only when all the carbohydrate needs are attended to will muscle glycogen start to be synthesized in any meaningful amount. Now, as we know, the primary role of carbs in the human body is as an energy source. It's our body's preferred energy source. Now, proteins are the mainly used of the building blocks of tissue. We talked about that last week, and they're only used in energy on occasion. And that's only when carbohydrates and fat are lacking in our system. Now, carbohydrates are the raw material for energy metabolism and are used in limited amounts as structural components. So they're only basically used in the body for energy. So in other words, the body's primary use for carbohydrates is to simply power the cells. And carbohydrates are particularly important in powering the operation and contraction of muscle cells. For healthy, active people, they can be very, very important. So as energy substrates, carbohydrates literally have no equal. They're easily and rapidly provide energy, especially for high volume users like the nervous system and muscle cells. When we talk about our brain, we talk about our spinal cord, and we talk about our muscle sources, our muscle cells, that is the preferred use of energy. Now, the one thing that's very important, we're going to go through myth number one, and I asked the boys, what's the number one myth that you guys want me to cover? We're going to cover this right now. So glucose can actually be obtained from other macronutrients. So that's protein and fat, albeit it's less efficient. The human body does not actually need any carbohydrates from the diet for basic survival or health. So the minimum carbohydrate intake in any individual can physically be set to 0. The most abundant sources of needed vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, fiber, however, are held in vegetables, fruit, and whole grains, all which unfortunately contain carbs in those situations. So while most of these micronutrients can be supplemented, most are absorbed most efficiently when consumed with whole foods. So eliminating carbs entirely from the body is controversial. Can it add some health risks? Can it not? Those are some things we're going to talk about in the next few weeks in our myths. So although the fundamental process of digestion is the same, every single individual person will differ in their tolerance and handling of carbohydrates. So that's the most important thing. We talk about this from week to week, is finding what best works for you. Every single individual will have a different tolerance in carbohydrates. We all know that person that seemingly says that they can only eat 1 serving of carbohydrates per week, and they tend to get really, really heavy. We have this other person that just shovels carbohydrates in their body constantly, and they can produce them. They can handle those properly. So carbohydrate type also plays a very, very important role. So let's just do a quick overview. When a diet consists of simple sugars and refined carbohydrates, so that's what we harped upon last week about in the 70s and 80s. We put all these refined carbohydrates back in our diet. An individual might notice elevations in their blood triglyceride levels, bad cholesterol, and they may develop what's called insulin resistance. Now, on the other hand, carbohydrates that are digested and absorbed slowly, so those are from whole grains, fruits, vegetables, they can control insulin's response. They can increase your energy levels. They can actually improve upon your body composition. So unrefined, unprocessed, complex carbohydrate sources may reduce triglycerides, and they may improve our cholesterol profile. That's all backed by science. Now, other benefits include the vitamin and mineral intake, increased fiber intake, enhanced satiety, a higher thermic effect of feeding, and it actually can help in some blood sugar control. So we just talked about physically what a carbohydrate is and what it does in the body. Does any of that sound like you guys as a poison? Does it sound like anything that is too controversial or too extreme? It's not, right? So it's just another macronutrient. So what we're going to cover in the next few weeks is why are carbohydrates demonized? Because just like we talked about saturated fat last week, there was many people that demonize carbohydrates, and they will go on their sword and just say that they are the absolute end of society. But realistically, we're going to go through some of those myths. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do, including everybody on here, and then all of anybody that has any sort of questions, or if they have a popular myth that they want to talk about with carbohydrates, send them into the show. We'll break them down using science and logic. So no controversy here, guys. We're just going to report what the science has to say. I support anybody's diet as long as it works for them. There's lots of people, I think we're kind of split half and half here, right? So Ryan, I know very, very low carbohydrates. Boz, you control your carbohydrates. Lavinia, what does Lavinia do? Does Lavinia have any sort of a specific diet? We never talked about what she does.
Yeah, Lavinia is full keto all the time. She high levels of ketones most days.
Cool.
So carbs of about 20 grams a day, and it really works for her.
And I imagine as a couple, that's really helpful to have you guys eating the same menu in the same house. Yeah. So that's very, very helpful. So if you guys have any questions, send them up to the podcast at hitthematpodcast@gmail.com. If anybody has any comments about what we just covered, I know it's boring. I know that was just science, but we have to understand what we're talking about first before we kind of get into the myths, so we can really reach into the science and show why certain things are true about carbohydrates, why some things might be a little bit over exaggerated about carbohydrates.
I was just going to do that.
Just for the record, I'm not fully anti-carbohydrate. You guys, we fuck around and say it, but every time somebody reaches out to me, what I tell them to do is to limit. Let's be honest. You can have all the carbs you want in the world. You can have all the fat or all the protein you want in the world. If you don't do everything in moderation, you're not going to have success. And the first thing I try to do is eliminate sugars. Yeah. You want to eliminate carbs? We'll start with sugars. That's the easiest thing to do. And then let's eliminate some unnecessary carbs. You want to have a sandwich? Great. But you were going to have 3 sandwiches. Instead of having those 3 sandwiches, maybe eliminate 4 pieces of bread and eat 1 big sandwich. Yeah. Things like that. And well, that's not even portion size. You're still getting all that meat, all the calories, everything else you're going to do, but you eliminated 600 calories in bread right away. I mean, that's a simple, easy fix. And I don't think that even the most carb conscious person or pro carb person would argue with eliminating 4 extra pieces of bread.
Absolutely not.
And just little things like that.
And if food is going to be absolute fucking trash, let's face it, it's the carb element of the food tree.
Yeah.
So my first 25 pounds that I lost, I started doing DDPY and I stopped eating excess refined sugar. That's all I did. I was still eating crisps, chips. They're crisps, okay?
They're crisps.
Crisp bread, rice cakes, stuff like that. But I stopped eating sweets. I stopped eating junk food as much as I could. And I stopped drinking sugary sodas. I went to diet, zero, whatever. And that accounted for 25 pounds worth of weight loss. Now I reach a point where that plateaued, because that will only get you so far. The thing is, I'm a food addict, right? So if I start eating that stuff again, if I go into a petrol station at work and I'm just like, I'm in fuck it mode with my food, I hit the 5 major food groups: soda, chips, chocolate, sandwich, sweets for afterwards. All of those are carbohydrates, all of them. And that is what I did for 20 years of my life. That's how I ended up 280, 290 pounds. So, so for me, it just took me down that road. But if you give me a plate full of sweet potato, broccoli, even just boiled potatoes, even it's much better than the shit I would eat otherwise, and it won't trigger that cocaine response of I've had some sugar, give me more. So
that's one thing that we absolutely have to set that standard to say, when people, one of the best questions to ask somebody is ask them, what's a carbohydrate? And they'll be like, sugar, chocolate. Like there's not really a good answer to that. A Snickers bar and a banana is not the same thing. It's not the same thing, right? Our body breaks everything down to glucose, but what else is within that food product? So we've got a lot of opportunities throughout the day. We do need a certain amount of protein. This is how I handle everything, right? So protein is an essential nutrient. We all can agree with that. Fat is an essential nutrient. We have to meet both of those goals. And then to fill out the rest of your calories, it honestly doesn't matter if it's a carbohydrate or fat in those choices or extra protein, as long as it works well with your own body. And people will find out. Some people just cannot handle carbohydrates as easily. And some people can't handle fat as easily. And some people can't handle that extra protein as easily. So it's just about finding what works best for you. It's unfair to just 100% demonize any sort of food except for the trans fats, right? It's just, there's nothing really to back that. When I hear that about soda, when you hear that about carbohydrates, when you hear that about saturated fat, you just have to understand the science really doesn't back that up. Now, Boz, one of the things you've talked about multiple times is that carbohydrate insulin. So the CIN, the carbohydrate insulin obesity type of studies, we'll probably cover that on one of the episodes because there's not a lot of science that really truly backs that up. So the majority, unfortunately, and again, just because it's probably just kind of bring it up there. It's a great book, right? Selling a lot of copies, but in the science community, it's not really accepted yet. We were talking before about correlation and causation, right? You brought up that awesome, and this is the big thing about sugar, right? We've seen sugar increase huge within the last 20 years, right? We've seen obesity levels go up really, really high in the last 20 years. So correlation, causation, they've really, really gone that route. We're consuming a significant amount more calories as well. So the science kind of shows, and
living significantly more sedentary lifestyles with working at the computer.
100%. So there's so much more that we're going to learn in science, and I can't wait in the next 15 to 20 years, all these great studies to really, really find out, what should we be worried about? Do we really need to really worry about sugar? I'm going to guess yes. If I had to guess,
100%.
Refined sugar, I'm going to say yes. Like I'm going to say there's probably enough right now to show that.
Because it's in everything.
It is. It is.
And combined with saturated fat, the two together, isn't that that's the perfect bomb, isn't it?
They're showing that there's probably, if you're consuming the two together, there's probably more of a risk with saturated fats when you're consuming. So we just got to, really, really get to the point of, refined sugars and an apple are completely different things, right? And even a bowl of pasta and a cake are different things too. Our body does process them differently. And some people will be able to handle all of that, no problem. And some people will have unfortunate health problems. We're not just talking about being heavy. We're not talking about not looking good at the beach. We're talking about heart disease. We're talking about diabetes. We're talking about stroke risk. We're talking about these really terrible things that the health of the United States is really in peril right now. And we've seen a lot of this in the COVID situation. We're seeing the majority unfortunate people that have passed away from COVID. And this is not political or anything, but we're seeing the same thing. We're seeing a lot of hypertension. We're seeing a lot of diabetes. We're seeing a lot of these comorbidities. And I'm hoping through this entire thing, as a nation, we understand if we really take care of our health, if something like this does happen again, will we have a better risk of surviving? Will our body be able to handle this better? Because it's so overwhelming. I see 20 patients a day. It's not uncommon for me to see 15 diabetic patients in one day.
Well, Tom,
and I work in a diabetic clinic,
With that said, Tom, I'm wondering with COVID and with the shutdown, because going back to schools and how we feed our children in schools, and just look how we ate when we were in school, it was terrible. And that hasn't changed. So with COVID shutdown, I'm interested to know what has changed with the food or the menu with kids at home. Are they eating healthy? Are they not eating? Are they eating, are they eating just as bad? Or how is
potentially overeating with more free time, honestly.
Yeah,
for sure.
And maybe more.
You have a set schedule at school where it's this, and then it's lunchtime, and then it's a snack time maybe, and then this. But now at home, you eat breakfast, and then 2 hours later it can be snack time. Then it's lunchtime, and then it's snack time, and then then you have your after school snack, even though you already had.
You didn't go to school.
Right. There's a lot of that for sure.
How did you manage it, Narin, through the lockdown period?
Well, we were quite lucky because I think it depends very much on what the rules were where you were. But we basically, the rules were we could exercise for a certain amount every day. So it was like walking Labrador puppies, basically. We just took them out, like whatever the weather was, they were out in the woods for like an hour and a half every morning. And then we did some of that crappy yoga with not DDPY, you know, the frozen trolls, like the twits, roll doll yoga. And I also, everyone else in the UK was stockpiling toilet roll when this shit started. I stockpiled craft stuff and Just Dance on the Nintendo Switch. So when it rained, I could get them dancing. So we did a lot of that kind of stuff as well.
Nice.
But it is really hard. And the problem is as well, like, firstly, you couldn't get people out a lot if you were in kind of particularly lockdown areas, but also people were trying to work from home while their kids were in the house, and you're supposed to be like homeschooling them or looking after them. And it's so easy to, especially like Lily's 6 now. And if you kind of give her tablet for like 20 minutes because you've got something to do, and then you don't, you suddenly think, shit, it's been 3 hours, where is she? And she's still there with a bloody tablet until you take it away. And it's so easy for that kind of thing to happen. And it's one of the perks actually of doing DDPY. I really feel like they're used to, both Matt and I, having like a workout is a thing that we do around them at home. And so they're kind of aware of being active and why, you know, they should do it as well. And it's kind of nice. They like to join in and stuff. Although I've had a couple of exploding knees to the face and stuff like that, which is always a bit not a happy time.
Mine's usually on three-legged dog, knee to elbows, getting those kicks in. And just you catch them on the comeback, man.
I don't.
But if you're gonna do it, you go all the way.
I don't know how you do it, Ryan. I've seen some of your videos. They're literally like in your body like snakes. You know, they're like all over.
I've always kind of just approached it as like a modification. Like I learned to do a two-legged dog because of my kids, because of them messing with me, and Mason would like go to climb under my arm, and it's like, oh shit, and then it's like then you realize, oh wow, I'm doing this, you know.
It kind of reminds me of that isometric. I always get this advertisement for this isometric guy, and he's on the floor and he has all this stuff on him. He's got one on his arm, shoulder. I'm like, there's Ryan's kids. Lay it on Ryan, man.
Super cool.
Wicked.
It's all balance work, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and you learn to become very, very stable when your kid is like playing Minecraft at the tablet right next to you. It's like, if you're gonna go into a headstand, you can't bail. You gotta hold it. You gotta hold it, or you're risking concussion.
You got your helmet on
for one of you. Absolutely.
Naz, one last thing. Did you want to talk about the article or not?
There is a really cheesy women's magazine in the UK called Take a Break, which is part crosswords and part this. I was messaging Boz and some of the UK guys this week. Basically, one of the taglines for this week, and you're going to have to put it in so that people can see it, was something like, the Domino's delivery driver was dough balls deep in another woman, or something. Like it's just the cheesiest thing. Like it was all like, you know, was he stuffing some other woman's crust? Like, you know, all of that. Like it's one of those. It is seriously
quality
the
double
highest
entendre.
selling. It's honestly, as a journalistic piece of work,
super cringy.
It's genius. Like it's amazing. The work they put into it is brilliant. But it's also the highest circulation women's magazine in the UK. It has a very good readership. And I've said from the beginning that once I was at a point where I wanted to promote my classes, I would sell my transformation story to them, just because it's like a really good thing to do. I wanted an ex-WWE wrestler helped me banish my bingo wings, but I don't think they're going to go with that, unfortunately. But you know, if I was writing my own headline, honestly, like I'd totally do that. But I did the interview with them because it's for their Christmas special. And the reason they've done the Christmas special is because if you see the transformation video, there's the picture of me and that bloody penguin from when I took my daughter to visit Father Christmas. And my sister took a photo of me and this giant stuffed penguin. That was basically the first picture I'd seen of myself for a really long time, where I was just like, holy fucking shit, like what has happened to me? You know, something has to change now. This was like the picture that started it all. But they love that picture. They think that picture's brilliant. So they're looking at it for their Christmas special as like a, you know, transformation kick-started by a trip to Father Christmas. So, but the thing about it that I can't quite work out is obviously in the interview, I talked a lot about DDPY because I'm basically pimping out like my L1 classes is the plan. but I've not had the read back yet to know how much of that's actually going in.
Yeah, what made the cut?
Yeah, well, and it's that thing because they
probably overdubbed you continuously, and it's all thanks to insert workout name.
Yeah, exactly.
Every month it'll be a different one.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously that's fine for me because it's not that contentious. It's not like, my boyfriend's been stuffed crusting some other woman or whatever. So I don't care that much. But
you just have to buy your young child maybe a new car or something. It's gonna maybe a patch on your side or something. Just be careful with that.
Better hit the mat.
That's absolutely it.
Hey, I've got some of those, by the way. I had a delivery. Do you want to see? I'm going to try my first one. Yeah.
Oh, it looks brilliant.
100%.
It's an improvement.
Wait a minute. I only have to wear it 3 days.
Wait. Oh my God! Look at the transformation. Holy
spooky! It's just spooky.
I'd ask for a refund.
Okay.
It's like Wish.com. You don't get refunds.
No refunds. Yes. I learned that with the watch. We're not getting it back.
Never again.
Stuck here forever.
No more exit gifts.
Still there.
I'm sorry, Narin. I interrupted you. And we went
I've completely lost my train of thought. Yeah, so
welcome to the show.
Honestly, I have no idea how much of any of this is usable for you guys, but I've had a blast. It's been really fun.
A lot of fun.
No, this is.
You've seen my lazy edits, most of it.
Yeah, we're currently at 2 minutes and 7 seconds. The episode's probably going to be about 2 minutes and 6 minutes, 2 hours and 6 minutes. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, we'll cut out about a minute and a half.
Usually.
So,
yeah. All right, thank you, Tom. I think you've well and truly put the cat amongst the pigeons there. I think we were quite nice to you, actually. So
yeah, we'll see what happens next time. We'll see what happens next time.
So that was it for Tom's Tall Tales. So just leaves it for us to GTFO. This is a bit where we let everybody pimp their shit. So seeing as Narin is top right on my screen, tell us where people can find you, the name of your classes, what your schedules are or are going to be. I know COVID's a difficult thing, but...
Yes, COVID is a difficult thing. At the moment, I'm doing bits and pieces on Zoom. The best place to find out what I'm up to is if you go to Level Up Fitness GB on Facebook. It's probably the best place, mainly because where I'm a gamer, it's all about leveling up 1 XP at the time. So, a little bit at a time. You don't have to.
Please tell me you're going to have
just a bit.
You have class things that just says achievement unlocked after someone like.
Oh, honestly, like at some point, I'm gonna sort out like T-shirts and logos and stuff, but it hasn't happened yet. So basically, I got my qualification through about 3 minutes before the apocalypse started. At which point, there was no bloody point doing anything, was there? So, but we'll get there.
Hey, Narin, I know a guy that can probably hook you up with a logo design. He's an asshole. But you gotta work with him.
Yeah, but I understand he's a bit of an old school gaming expert, so he might be my sort. That's the thing.
It's gonna be Comic Sans 12 point. It looks sweet.
Honestly, the number of newspaper websites. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
So, Ryan, you going to do the?
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, if you want to reach out to us, obviously shoot us an email at hitthematpodcast@gmail.com. You can comment on any of the links that we post on various social media. We've been pulling reviews and comments from Facebook, from Instagram, and from our emails. Submit videos if you want. We absolutely love them. Still waiting for Will Garland to submit something, you coward. Also, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell on YouTube so you know when we drop new content. And if you're listening to us on any of your favorite podcast apps except for Pandora because they suck dick, be sure that you rate and review our show there. And it'll help us move up in those category ranks. And then if you're on YouTube, share it with your friends, share it with your moms. Moms love our show. And your mom will love our show, I promise.
My mom won't.
And if you want to... Oh,
too many swears.
That'll happen. If you want to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, we're also at Hit the Mat Podcast. If you want to follow me, I can be found at Burn the Boats Fitness. And Tom, go ahead.
So I am at www.beunstoppableathletics.com. That's where you can find my coaching services. I'm also found on Facebook at Be Unstoppable Athletics and at Project Mayhem. That's where we're doing our Zoom classes. Now, Ryan, if you don't mind, just put your head down a little bit. I do have a new OnlyFans, and it is at Bozzy Bear. And if you do the ultimate, if you spend $100 in your initial purchase, you will get your own Bozzy Bear hat. The pictures are a little racy. They're a little bit controversial, but
I heard it comes with I heard it comes with the free growler or something like that. But anyway,
we can possibly.
It's the naked yoga pics from last week. That's what it is.
I will just give you hints. What you see on that website, if you're looking for a growler on the website, you are not going to find a growler, but it's just as hairy. All right, back to you,
Travis.
All right, you can find me on Instagram at The Real Shamrock Fitness. Also on Facebook, Shamrock Fitness, a DDP Yoga Experience. Also, you can find me at www.transitioncoach.ca, where I will be 8 classes a week on Zoom. Please come and join us.
Free week trial too, yeah?
Free week. You get a 7-day free week trial. Yeah, reach out.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
Goodness.
And not only myself, you get myself and Dr. Marcel Dore. You get a doctor and a clown.
And unlike Tom, he's a real doctor.
He's a real doctor. And he specializes in back pain. So if you're out there and you have some back issues, come out and talk to Dr. Marcel Dore.
Oh, yeah. He knows his shit about backs. He's helped me remotely with my back. So I can testify to that. Absolutely. So, and in terms of my stuff, I'm a lazy motherfucker. So just watch last week's show. I told you at the end of that one. So thank you for joining us. Narin, we can't thank you enough for coming on. We've had such a giggle. I knew it would be.
It's been very fun. Thank you.
Yes.
It's an awesome.
Yeah. So as ever, we're going to finish in our normal way. We're going to. I saved some this week. Look, I kept them out. It's normally an empty glass. So cheers and
cheers.
Hit the mat.
Hit the mat.
Hit the mat.
Better Hit The Mat podcast.
Oh, yeah.
So fucking loud.
If you could have heard what we just heard, that is so crazy. Who would have thought?
Destroyed both of my eardrums.
I'm
Only
sorry.
Tom dealt with ears as well.
Let me see here. Hang on a second.
I mean, he's not actually driving, is he?
No, I think he's if he is anything, he's passenger. But hang on a second.
That would be ridiculous.
Hilarious.
I almost told Robin. I almost told Robin. I said, "Fuck it, I want to get her in the truck and just drive too, and just do it." Could you?
Oh, we could have all done that.
That would be hilarious.
I could even host the show on StreamYard via my phone. So, like, I could literally just get in the van and sod off. In fact, no, let's go one more. I'll be on a motorcycle.
Because we could come up with some sort of lame brain excuse why he's not here. That'd be kind of fun.
I think we just say we fired him instead.
Oh, is Tina around?
What's Tina's middle name? How crazy would it be if Tina had an R for a middle name?
It would be.
We should. Hey, you know what? Fuck around. You should just send Tina an invite for a little bit.
Okay, he's disappeared. Is this a problem?
No, carry on.
You sure? Okay.
This is
wow, you literally just kicked him to the curb, didn't you? Fuck him. It's fine. We can...
How about this? Okay, you guys in the UK might not know, but do you know what a trucker bomb is?
No.
I do.
It's going to be something like peeing in a bag, right? Or a bottle or something. Trucker
bomb, literally, the tractor lorry drivers, they literally don't stop sometimes. So they'll pee in a bottle and they'll throw it out the window.
There's that, and the thing is that's why they for a while Gatorade and Powerade were moving to thinner bottles as far as the caps, and it pissed suckers off. because it's harder to miss it. So.
Travis would have been all right though, going by earlier comparisons. So.
Ryan, you're the Trooper of the Year doing that from your car, man. Holy shit.
Honestly,
that held up so well.
Trooper of the Year.
No, that's all thanks to my wife, man.
Yes.
She's the trooper.
She slept the whole way. Awesome. Hey, and big ups for Tom there, listening the whole time.
I heard everything. This new having like a computer is so much better.
Yes, we got to get home, watch the Dodgers. Yeah. I have to piss so bad. I've had to piss since for the last 108 miles. I thought about taking you in with me just for an outtake.
That would have been funny.
You could have showed us the gap in the toilet door.
Yeah, they never expect you to rob them if you've got a child. It's true.
Child hands the note. Give me all your money. Written in crayon.
Don't make my dad mad.
Right there, dude. Right there.
5-year-old Tom says, empty the register.
He's actually the mastermind. Look at all these really great carbs.
Yeah.
Oh my!
We love carbs.
Looks like death.
Tom just told us we can eat all of those. I'm so much happier now. Thank you, Tom. It was a great section.
You won't die. You won't die. It's all good.
All right. Yep. Later. Yep. I think it's getting to that point.
There is no gap. No gap.
No gap.
No gap.
No gap. No signal either.